Welcome back to Setting the Edge. This is NFL Week 5. I'm joined with my man at Jim Dean King on Twitter, owner, founder of King's Court DFS subscription service. What's going on, Jim? How are you today?
How we doing, man? Thanks for having me back. I'm glad to be a part of this for a second time.
Always good to have you on the show, Jim. You were like last time from the people I know that listened. And we gave pretty good advice, too. We just want to keep the ball rolling here on Fanduel. We'll give you a little bit of gambling perspective a little bit, mostly Fanduel DFS stuff this week. Who you like to target in cash, who we're looking at in GPPs for flyers, and all around DFS. Nonsense and goodness. But we'll get started right here. We got the New England Patriots. The Brady Kill Everyone tour is officially on, and they're at the loathsome Cleveland Browns. First and foremost, I want to go out and say, like, I'm not as big as Brady as everyone else is this week. People forget that he actually wasn't able to practice with the team and everything, so he might be a little rusty. And against this Cleveland Browns team, I think he does minimal work, and they just kind of ease him into the game. Maybe they go up early, and then just coast for the rest of the game. So I'm not huge on Brady necessarily in cash or GPPs at all. I'm kind of just off of him. But I do like me some Julian Edelman this week. I think he's a very solid cash play at 7K. The target's going to be there because they can have to get him the ball now. And I don't hate like a LeGarrette Blount in the Pats defense, a little stack. Beyond that, I'm not really playing anyone for the Pats. In the Browns' perspective, Isaiah Crowell in the tournament maybe. Terrell Pryor's going to be locked up, in my opinion. And after that, I don't really – maybe if you like Gary Barnidge as a GPP flyer. But besides that, I don't think there's that much to love. What do you got for me, Jim?
For that one, I can definitely see what you're saying with the Brady thoughts. And actually, I had Edelman locked in to every lineup at 7K. I thought he was a great play, but I'm not sure if you heard, I just did maybe like a half an hour ago that he got added to the injury report today.
Yeah,
and he was limited at today's practice with and the way that he is in love with Brady, I can't believe he would miss a single second of practice today. So I have to think that it's something. Not to say that I think he's going to miss the game, but at 7K, there's like 3 or 4 other receivers that I liked. So I'm honestly probably going to be off of Edelman for that reason. And other Patriots, I could see Martellus as a GPP bet. I don't love it, but I think just watching Gronkowski the last couple weeks, he looks just brutal. He looks like he's laboring to do just about every route he's ran, which is few. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bennett had himself a nice game. Otherwise, I'm not really too interested in any Patriots on the Browns side of things. The only guy that I had any interest or any that was even on my radar was Duke Johnson, and that's a low-cost option. I think he's 5,300. If the Patriots do go up big, obviously I think the spread is at 11 right now, 10.5, 11. I could see Duke catching himself a whole bunch of balls in the second half. That would be my only reasoning there, and otherwise I'm not really interested in anyone else at all.
Yeah, I like the that Duke Johnson play. He's been getting a lot of a decent amount of work. Yeah, at 5.3. How many targets did he have last game? What did he have? He had 8 targets, 7 targets, 5 and 5 to go with his. He gets about anywhere between like 3 to like probably like 7 rushes. He had 10 against Miami, but yeah, you can definitely see him scatter out of the backfield between the 20s because the Pats will probably just play bend but don't break defense for the most part and just lock in on Terrell Pryor. Belichick was a huge fan of him going into the draft and had him in for a workout, so there's no way he torches the Pats, which then makes him like an okay GPP play. But I'm off on that game for me.
Yeah.
Next game I want to take a look at here. Philadelphia Eagles going over to Detroit to play the Lions. Spread here I see is -4.5, -4 on the Eagles. Over under here at 47. Jim, why don't you kick us off here? What are you looking at in this game?
For that one, I like Wentz this week at 7,500. I think he's a pretty solid play for that price. I think he's got decent, 20 plus upside. Um, Also looking to possibly pair him with Jordan Matthews at 7K. I think that's a pretty good mid-level stack with a lot of upside. I could see both of them having pretty big days, especially if Matthews can get in the slot. I think I read the slot corner for Detroit. I can't remember his name, to be honest, but I believe he's only 5'9". He can get himself in the slot a little bit. He might be able to exploit that.
Yep.
And like I said, at that price tag for both of those guys, you're going to be able to spend some money other places. So I think that could be a pretty solid duo right there. I know some people are on Ertz. I don't hate him, but I don't like to really get guys in after coming off injuries, things like that. So I'll probably avoid him. And that's really it on the Eagles side of things for Detroit. Really not a lot. Marvin Jones, certainly not on Golden Tate. So I guess I'm fading the Lions completely. Wentz and Matthew for the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't really like anyone from Detroit in this game. Although this will probably be the game that there's like a good amount of scoring, and then we're looking at this game like fuck, like I could have played that guy. But I do like Ertz, but I also am worried about like I don't like playing guys directly off of injury, especially since the other tight end for the Eagles, what's his name? Not Brent Selleck, but whatever the hell his name is.
Oh, the
Whatever Burton, Trey Burton. They looked all right in the last two games without Ertz. So that what says they don't just use a dual tight end thing here and just rotate them both in? I don't know. I mean, if I wanted to be safe with my tight end, like what they're doing with Gronk, like I'm not going to play him all the time. So I do really like it, but I like Hunter Henry at like 5.4 if Gates is out, kind of thing,
yep.
and like Zach Miller. Other than that, I do like Jordan Matthews a decent amount because he's going to be in the slot, and the Detroit secondary, their best guy is plays on the outside, and Matthews mostly goes over the middle. So I kind of
Yes.
I do like him around that at that price point. At 7K, as you mentioned, like I could just drop Edelman if I'm worried about him and just go Jordan Matthews, and that's totally acceptable in my opinion.
That's what I did.
Yeah, that's that's pretty much what I'm looking at here. And defenses in this game, I mean, if Philly's defense is real, I don't really hate it, but defense at 4.6, it's if you have that extra 100, if you usually play like a cheaper defense, I wouldn't mind that, but definitely not targeting it by any means.
Yeah.
All right, next game, let's check out Chicago Bears 1-3 playing at Indianapolis Colts, also 1-3. Indy is a 5-point favorite. We have a 48 over under here. To start off with this game, I think the Bears might actually sneak out a win in this one because I think Indy is that bad. I love me some Jordan Howard this week. There's no reason why he's not going to continue to get the workload out of the backfield and a little bit of reception-wise as well. 12 catches on the season, 4 targets last week, 6 the week before. And then I like Zach Miller. There's a couple, as I just mentioned, there's a few tight ends I'm going to be looking at right around in that like 5K to 6K range. And Zach Miller is on my list. Brian Hoyer has been throwing the ball, and he doesn't really seem that's not going to really change, especially with the injury to Kevin White on the Bears side. On Indy's side, I hate to say it, but I like Frank Gore. Like I fucking, I always do this to myself. He's like kind of like touchdown dependent, but he's going to get the touches because he will go like 20 rushes for like 62 yards, and then he gets you a touchdown. You're like, oh, well, it was worth it, And his price point, it's just you can make things happen if you go with him at like 6.5.
Yep.
But if I'm going to take one running back from this game, I'd go with Howard. What are your thoughts?
I would agree on just about everything you just said about Gore. It's every week. It's like I want to play him, but I don't want to play him, but I want to play him. His price isn't bad. He's getting touches. I don't have him in this week myself, but I couldn't fault anybody for using him. Otherwise, for Indy, I don't really have anyone on my radar this week. On the Bears side of things, I like Eddie Royal. I did see that he was on the injury report, and I believe he missed practice yesterday. But at 5,700, I think that's a pretty solid value right there. He's coming off his best game with, I think it was a 7-catch, 110-yard game or so. He's going to continue to see some targets as long as White out. So I think he'll get a good boost in value, and at 5,700, I think he's a solid GPP play. Jordan Howard, I do like as well. I think his ownership's going to be up there at 7,200. He's on my radar, but I will say he is currently not in my lineup. And that's about all I have for that game. I do like the Bears to cover that spread. I do have them in right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they grabbed a win either. Hoyer looked pretty solid the last couple games, so I wouldn't be surprised if they stole a win.
And I really don't think the Bears defense is really that bad, in my opinion. But I think we should be projecting around a like 16 to 17, up to 23, 25 range from Jordan Howard. I'll just pin it at like 19 or something. That's where I think he's going to be. But I'll gladly eat that chalk like I ate the Melvin Gordon chalk last week. If that has to be, I don't mind his price point about that. Anything else on that game, or are you all set?
I'm good on that one. That's all I got.
All right. Next game we got here, 1-3 Tennessee Titans at Miami Dolphins. We're also 1-3. Spread is Dolphins -4. Let's start us off here. Tell me what you like about this game, if anything at all.
DeMarco Murray, and DeMarco Murray. Did you hear that? DeMarco Murray?
No, yeah, I didn't hear that last one.
DeMarco Murray. Yeah,
right,
he's locked into my line. He's my number one running back. I've rolled with him the last, I think I want to say 3 weeks in a row. He's just been fantastic. He's getting touches. He's getting tons of work in the passing game. He really, really has been impressive. I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting him to do so well. I thought Henry would see more work, and after what he did last year, Murray, I just really wasn't expecting this, but I got to say I love it. No, he's at 8,400, guaranteed locked in as my RB1, and I think he's going to have another big day. Miami's defense, is whatever, but I'm not worried about really many defenses against him right now. I think he's going to see his 20 touches. He's going to have 4 to 6 catches. He's always a threat to score. I love him this week. Other guys on Tennessee, no interest whatsoever. The Tajay Sharp love that everyone has is kind of dwindled lately. I never on him, but I'm certainly not now. As for the Dolphins, I like Jarvis Landry, 7,500. He's you know what you're going to get with him. They're guaranteed to see a whole bunch of targets. He's going to get you 7 or 8 catches and 80 yards at least. So I like him. I also have Devontae Parker on my radar for a tournament play. I think he's at 6,400 if I'm right. The matchup is pretty solid. So I think he has some potential to put up some points. I know he had a down game last week, but Tannehill was terrible. The offense was just bad. There wasn't really much going on. So I could see him, with a 4 for 100 or 5 for 100 type game. It wouldn't surprise me at all. So he might be in play for tournaments if you're, looking for a low-owned guy. Other than that, I'm all good on that game. I'm not touching the spread, the over/under. It's just 2 ugly teams. You never want to bet on teams like that.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly. It's kind of a weird game. 43 over/under here. Here's something for you. So the Titans have given up pretty much like a 100-yard receiver in each game. Diggs got 100 yards week 1, Marvin Jones week 2, Crabtree week 3, and then Will Fuller had like 81 yards or something last week. But other guys they're like primary outside receivers. And Jarvis Landry is going to be going over the middle. And Titans play a bit of zone coverage outside of the red zone. So I think that Landry could just get a shit ton of receptions right over the middle and get like 100 yards. He could be locked into my lineup too. I like his price point, and he's going to lead. He's going to be up there, top 3, top 4 in the league in targets this year. So I think this game kind of bodes well for him also as an extension of the run game, since the Dolphins claim they're going to be cleaning up the run game, but we'll see how that works. I like your Devontae Parker GPP pick a lot, and I'm pretty much staying away from anyone on the Titans that's not named DeMarco Murray. Maybe Delaney Walker. I don't know. I'm very fond of Delaney Walker. Just Marcus Mariota has been literally the 34th worst quarterback in the entire league, according to Pro Football Focus. But we'll see how he pans out. I'm off him at all costs, pretty much. Next game, 2-2 Redskins at the 3-1 Ravens. Spread here -4 on the Ravens' part. I don't really like this game that much. I'm not, I can be, play the obvious, and you can play Jordan Reed all you want at any time. And he finally paid off last week for everyone who was a little frustrated with his production thus far. Only getting 9 points, like 7 points first 3 games. You got your 2 touchdown game last week. Other than going like Flacco and like Mike Wallace in like a tournament, I'm really kind of like off this game in its entirety. The over-under here I see is around 45. I don't know. In my opinion, there's not much to love here. Maybe some Matt Jones action, but Baltimore has been like the best team against the run, only giving up like 3.7 yards per rush or something like that. Yeah, you on this game at all? Do you have anyone you really like?
No, I'm not on anybody either. Reed is, Reed is Reed, but I don't like 7,800 is a little too much for me at tight end. Like you said, he's coming off the 2 touchdown game, which is great. I did have him in there, so I was happy about that. But this week, I'm not really interested in paying that much for him. Like you said, maybe Wallace or Steve Smith if you want to take a risk at a $6,000 receiver, but otherwise, I'm not interested at all. That I think I'm gonna fade that game completely.
Yeah, and like if you have that extra value and you're thinking of like paying up for Justin Tucker, like I don't hate it. You can play that guy every week. The Ravens will just let him kick anything. But
Yep.
I don't hate the Ravens at 44 either on defense. They've looked pretty good, and this is just the Ravens are back, but they're not really back. So that defense is just going to be good and decently annoying pretty much all year. Although the secondary's gotten torched. I don't think the Redskins would be one to torch a secondary. That pretty much closes that. Next game, taking a look at here, 3-1 Houston Texans on the road to play the Minnesota Vikings that are 4-0. The Vikings are a hefty favorite at -7. We got a pretty low over/under here at 41. I love the Vikings defense. I like a little bit of Will Fuller, of course. Just on the Houston side of things, I'm off on the quarterbacks. Don't hate Jerick McKinnon. Think there's better options around the league. And then I like the Kyle Rudolph love story with Sam Bradford. Aside from that, this is just going to be a game to see whether or not the Vikings are legit. I guess I don't know. The Texans going to play, and maybe they beat them. Maybe the Vikings have a shitty game. Sammy Sleeves hasn't looked terrible yet. I'm not ready to start hopping all over the Vikings dick like a lot of people I've seen, but that's just me in my opinion. I'm out. I think I like the Texans +7 if anything, but low over/under here. Not a lot of fantasy goodness. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you on a lot of that. I like the Vikings defense. I think I might end up getting them in there at 4,800. McKinnon, I like him. I don't love him. I could, be fine with you using him or not using him. I'm kind of indifferent. Rudolph, I will say, is up there as one of my top tight ends this week at 5,500. He just continues to get targets. He's getting looks in the red zone again and again. Pretty sure 3 games in a row he scored a touchdown if I'm correct.
That's correct.
And at that price, you just can't really beat that. If he's going to get me 5 for 50 and a TD for 5,500, I'm all aboard that train. So he's currently in my lineup. and the Vikings defense is in my lineup. On the Houston side of things, I wouldn't go near that. No way, shape, or form. And that's all I got. I'm not touching that spread or the over under. I could see either thing happening and it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, it's just kind of a game where I probably should stay away, but Texans +7 seems a little too juicy. Lamar Miller really hasn't shown who he is quite yet, although he's gotten all the touches in the world. Hopkins is pretty much his role has looked like it's diminishing a little bit, and like Will Fuller is like as almost looking as good as a player as he is. I don't know if all that is necessarily true, but hey, this is why it's the NFL. Something, there's a narrative involved. There's something else is going to change. This game could totally be, a shootout and a Texans win. Who knows? Next game we're looking at here: New York Jets, the 1-3 playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3-1. Spread is also 7 in this game in favor of the Steelers with a over/under here at 48. I think this game has a lot of potential fantasy goodness here. Some quick notes: Eric Decker is out for this game, so. Quincy, what is it? Inua, however you pronounce his last name.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's
value.
Yeah, value right there. Those targets got to go somewhere, and the Jets are just throwing the ball everywhere because they stink right now. I don't know if I'm going to be on Brandon Marshall though. It's not a bad spot, but I like Inua more. I'd rather pay down to him. And if you're not playing Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell, like there's something wrong with your lineup, maybe. One of them has to be in there, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. No, I hear you, man. It's hard to not ride with one of them. Antonio is just such a beast last week. I was in third in the $25 tournament, winning like $750, and then all of a sudden Antonio Brown showed up and shat all over my parade, and down the ranks I went. But I do like him. I mean, whatever his price is, he's going to contribute. He's going to have a big game. Brandon Marshall, though, I love Brandon Marshall this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he went for 7 for $150 and a couple TDs. I really have a lot of faith in him producing. I mean, he had a pretty decent game last week against Seattle, and Richard Sherman 4 for 89 and a touchdown. And that's coming off the injury too. So I was pretty impressed with that. I think he has another big game. I do like an unwet 62, great value. He's good for 6 for 60, 70 yards.
And if he gets that touchdown, it's just like yes, like fuck yeah.
That really puts you over the edge. And also a really nice GPP flyer, Sammy Coates at 5,300. He's leading the league in catches over 40 yards. He doesn't need to do too much to be worth it for you. If he gets you 2 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown, you're golden. So for those looking for a low cost high reward guy, Sammy Coates, I think, is a pretty good play.
Yeah, he's pretty much almost good for one deep ball like every game.
I don't mind using him. I wouldn't mind using Roethlisberger with him if you can't afford using Roethlisberger and Brown.
Yep. Don't hate it. Definitely don't hate it. Like anytime you watch the Steelers play, you see coaches go down the field and Ben just bombs one of them instantly, and it's just like, well, it was a matter of time before he drops that right in the breadbasket and sprints down the field, and you're like, nice. GPP points to me, and he's probably like 3%, 4% owned. And that's the kind of shit you need to win big tournaments.
Exactly.
I don't mind Nick Folk at all in this game either. If you're going to go the cheap kicker route, there's got to be points in this game. And albeit Ryan Fitzpatrick has looked like shit the last 2 weeks, he also has faced a tough Chiefs defense at home and Richard Sherman and the Seahawks. So maybe he bounces back. There's got to be some production here. So you might have turned me on to Brandon Marshall a little bit, but there's no way in like a cash game I'm playing both him and Inua, and there's so much value to get with Inua. It makes me do a lot of things. So especially if I'm punting quarterback this week. So a lot of fantasy goodness in this game. This very well could be the highest scoring game. Next game, Atlanta Falcons 3-1 against the Denver Broncos 4-0. Spread is Broncos -6. I'm pretty much off on most of the things in this game. Um, just for a couple reasons. One, you don't really make money playing teams against the best defense in the NFL in the last like 5 years. Albeit Julio might get his, but I would rather not take that chance and have 889, 8.9K tied up with him. Um, I like CJ Anderson at 8K if you have the value for him. I don't think he's the most talented back in the world, but he's gonna get the production. He's gonna get 15, maybe 20 carries. And the quarterback situation in Denver, Simeon's probably gonna play, but he's got banged up. Although it is his like non-throwing shoulder, so I expect the Broncos to give CJ Anderson the ball a decent amount. Um, I don't hate Telvin Coleman in this game. If the Falcons are down, they're just going to toss the ball off to Telvin, more so than Devontae Freeman in the backfield, in my opinion, unless the sickle cell problem with Coleman's really acts up. Then I guess Devontae Freeman's the only play. And you're not a Devontae Freeman guy, never have been, never will be. So, although, do you think he has like a decent game today, on Sunday, rather?
I do, because everything I've read about Coleman is that disorder that he has is legit, and he's most likely, from what I've read at least, going to be very limited. So if Freeman can get an extra 5 or 6 touches off of that, I think he could definitely produce. I think he may not, have a monster game. I don't think anybody expects that, but I think he could definitely be serviceable for you, and I would expect him to be very low ownership. So I don't hate the Freeman play. I definitely would not pay up for Julio. I just don't see any reason why. There's too many good receivers out there. Why pay for that against Denver? You know what I mean? You're just kind of asking for trouble.
Yeah, you're asking for it.
On the Broncos side, I'm not really sure about Simeon. I'm going to have to read some more injury reports, but if he's looking more healthy than not, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep Emmanuel Sanders out of my lineup. He's another guy for those of you who might be worried about Edelman. Sanders is only $100 more. He's been getting peppered with targets. I think he's had 13 targets the last 2 weeks. You can't hate that. I think he could definitely produce and have a solid day. So like I said, he's another option for those who are a little worried about the Edelman injury.
Yep. 8 targets in the first 2 games combined, like 8, and then 13 and 13. And he looks to be Simeon's favorite guy. So there's a lot of value. There's a lot of guys right in that like 6.8 to like 7.1, 7.2 range that are on my radar, and Emmanuel Sanders is definitely one of them.
Yeah, that's all I got for that. Denver, otherwise, I'm not really looking at anybody.
Yeah, it's like, do I really want to pay up for the Denver defense either? I don't want to get accidentally burnt by like Matt Ryan and Julio.
Yeah,
I'm off on that defense too. I would rather not pay up. A game of zero fantasy goodness for me. Cincinnati Bengals 2-2. Dallas Cowboys 3-1. Cowboys are a +1 favorite right now, or no, a +1 dog right now at home. Over under here at 45. I got nothing on this game. I got nothing. Maybe Dan Bailey is the kicker. I typically enjoy going him. Maybe AJ Green. I don't know. I'm not an AJ Green fan. I'm really not. I hate playing with my lineup. He might get like 6 targets and like 4 catches, but like with those 4 catches, might be like 2 touchdowns. I don't like him in cash games. That's GPP fine, but out in this game, I'm not a believer in Jeremy Hill. I hate Andy Dalton. AJ Green's just not anything I want. Not really into playing Dak. If you're going to play Jason Witten, fine. I can't hate it. Maybe Cole Beasley does a little better than he did last week because Dez is playing. I'm out on Dez, so that's my thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I'm not really on AJ Green either, and I think he's going to have a lot more ownership after what he did last Thursday. So I'm off of him. The only person that I looked at all was Elliott. He's just getting so many touches. I mean, he's getting like 30 touches a game. That's hard to ignore.
Yeah.
He's not my top running back by any means, but I definitely am looking at him. I'll say that. But otherwise, I'm not really interested in anybody in that game. I wouldn't be surprised to see the under, though. I could see that being like a 21-17 or a 24-20 type of game. where the under is good.
Yep. I was actually
Otherwise,
going to
so
say that. We're in the same boat on that one. I like the under in this game. Cowboys don't score. They pretty much let up the second least amount of plays to other teams. I think the first this year is the Eagles, but and then the Bengals. It's
yeah.
unless they're getting the ball down the field to the fucking AJ Green all game. They're not really going to do anything. I'm not a believer in Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard tandem. Although Jeremy Hill is played decent, I'm not falling for that Bengals rushing attack. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, well, shame on me. But next game, next game we're looking at here, 2-2 Buffalo Bills at the Los Angeles Rams, 3-1. The Rams are a -3 favorite. The one thing I have to say about this game, if I'm putting anyone in this game, I'm doing a Buffalo Bills defense stack with Shady McCoy just to prove that the Rams are a fraud. Because can your brain like fathom Jeff Fisher and the LA Rams being 4-1?
Nope.
Nope. That's it. And it's not even like a cash game play. It's like if you're gonna make it, maybe I don't know, probably not for me, but maybe a GPP play of like Buffalo Bills defense and Shady McCoy. I guess Robert Woods is like a sneaky play.
Yeah.
Potentially
300.
5.3. Yeah. I don't mind Robert Woods. I think he's just going to be getting all the targets pretty much. That's really the only the only thing they're doing in the air. I'm not really a T-Mobile guy. I'm not going to really be playing him. But Robert Woods is really all I'm looking at here. If I'm not going to do like the Shady McCoy, Bills defense prove the LA Rams stack wrong. That's it for me.
Yeah, I like the Bills defense as well. 4,600. I think that's pretty solid play. There should be very limited scoring. Robert Woods, I don't trust me. I think he sucks at football, but they have no one else to throw it to, so I think he'll have another decent game. Other than that, though, I mean, I don't think I like him enough to play him in Fanduel by any means. But if you're hurting for a flex in a PPR league or something, I could see using him. But
have at it.
wise,
He should be owned all over the place by now, I'd imagine.
DFS wise, I'm not interested. So Bills defense, and that's it for me.
Yeah, pretty much. How funny would it be if like Brian Quick has like another like a good game? That'd be annoying. Just like
how many times have we heard about Brian Quick?
I'm so
tired of this crap. This
I
know.
Sucks.
It's
like, Brian Quick. Oh, he's a good player, and it's like no, he's never. He always gets hurt, and he sucks, and people are like, oh well, Danny Amendola left. Oh, he's gonna be the new guy. And I'm like, no, shut your mouth. Although it's a ticking time bomb before Tavon Austin runs one back. So if you like playing the Rams, Tavon Austin stack in tournaments, which I will do one of these weeks, it's a ticking time bomb before that Tavon Austin return is happening. So just wait on it, it's happening soon. So if it doesn't happen this week, then next week I'm going to hype it up even more. Next game, some great fantasy goodness. San Diego Chargers 1-3 at the Oakland Raiders 3-1. Spread here, Oakland -4 and an over/under nice 51. I'm definitely going to be having at least 2 players in this game on my team. I'm just figuring which way I want to leverage it in cash game. Mostly head-to-heads. I like doing head-to-heads personally. Although I'll probably do like a $5 or like $20 like big 50-50 and then mostly head-to-heads and then some tourneys. But love me Amari Cooper, love me Michael Crabtree. Which whatever you have the value to really pay up for, who you think is going to be the Oakland receiver of the game. Receiving core on the San Diego side, I like Hunter Henry if Gates is out. If Gates is in, I will not be playing either of them. And I'd like me some Tyrell Williams out of all the guys, the squad of Tyrell Williams, Travis Benjamin, and Dontrell Inman. What are your thoughts on this game?
Pretty similar. I think I like Crabtree the best, but I think he's going to be higher owned. I wish Cooper would do something. I've been waiting for it. I own him in a season-long league. I've been pretty disappointed so far. But with the Chargers secondary with the big blow for them, I think that's definitely going to be a shootout. I think you got to get one of those two, Crabtree or Cooper. One of them is going to do something, if not both. Chargers side receivers, I really just don't know where to go. I feel like any one of the three could go off, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I think it's just a little too risky to really pick one. For the running game, with Latavius Murray most likely out with the turf toe, DeAndre Washington at 4,700 is pretty enticing for a little flyer. From what I've been reading, it's looking like a somewhat maybe like a 60-40, 55-45 timeshare in that backfield. So I think Washington probably sees like 13 to 15 touches. And at that price tag, that's pretty solid. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have himself a successful day and be a pretty nice, super, super low cost option for you. On the Chargers side for the run game, I absolutely hate Melvin Gordon, and I'm so annoyed with so many people riding his jock. Yeah, he has 6 touchdowns, and I can't take that away from him. That's fantastic, but he's averaging like 2.9 yards a carry. I mean, when you're rushing 19 times for 35 yards and 20 carries for 38 yards, like, you suck. I'm sorry. That's not impressive. That's not good. You can score your touchdowns, great, but if you're watching these games and not just looking at how many points he scored, and you tell me that he's a good running back right now, you yourself just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. End of story.
Yep, and it just really sucks that like he's going against a really shitty Oakland running defense, and it's like here we go again. I'm off on Melvin Gordon this week. I'm not playing. I refuse to do it because exactly what you said. He's still got the fumble problem, along with he literally will never. He's like Trent Richardson. He can't like average over 3 yards per carry. Period. Like it just doesn't happen. And he's gotten all these touchdowns, which is bailed out 55% of the daily fantasy pass game playing community each week. Oh my god, I played him just because I couldn't. I just ate all the chalk dust in the world and played him, and I was like, thank God he just got those 2 scores. He was doing shit, and I was watching it. On a side note, with betting, the Chargers are on my shit list. Back-to-back weeks blowing covers and loss, and then losing the game. Whatever with them. I'm done with them. Both quarterbacks are also in play in this game if you're paying up in cash. 8.3 for Rivers, 8.1 for Carr. I wouldn't be overlooking them. Last game actually of the night. New York Giants 2-2 against at the Green Bay Packers 2-1. Packers are -8 favorites right now. Ew, that's too high. And over under at 48. I'm already leaning the Giants here. Talk about your G-men here. I know you're a big Giants fan.
Disgusted. Absolutely disgusted. I can't tell you how much I hate McAdoo. I think he's a complete joke. He just is clueless. Just time after time. The play calling last weekend was, I don't even know how you can even say that anything was good. I mean, he literally ran like 6 draws in about 7 plays in the first quarter. I mean, just baffling. The lack of timeout calls, or it's just everything he does is wrong. I think publicly talking about Beckham was poor decision. You just don't do that as a coach, especially as a brand new head coach. I was just disgusted. If he makes it through the season, I'm going to be pissed. Really want him out because he's not bringing any upside to the Giants right now. You've got probably the best wide receiver trio in the league, and I can count how many deep shots they take a game. You know, it's like maybe 1, maybe 2 at the most, if that. I don't understand it. So that's all my hate for McAdoo. For DFS purposes, I love Odell Beckham this week. He's going to have 25 points. He's going to have a monster game and finally shut everyone in the media up and stop blowing this nonsense out of proportion. The taunting flag he got last week was a joke. and he used that to say that he's a head case. Just shut up. That was a horrible call. Literally did nothing. So I think he quiets the haters this week with like a 10 catch, 150-yard, multiple touchdown game. Definitely in my lineups. Love him a lot this week. Also, not feeling too bad about Shepard at 6,900 and Cruz, I think, at 5,700. Both decent options. For the Packers, I'm not really on anybody other than Jordy Nelson. And to be honest, I don't think I'm going to play him, but I think he'll have a decent game. Giants plus, what is it, 8?
Yep.
7.5, 8?
I got 8.
Giants plus 8 sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. I do this to myself all the time. I bet like with the Packers or against them, and whenever I bet on the Packers, they fuck up, and I'm like, wow, this Packers team is actually bad. Why do I think they're good? And then I've bet against the Packers pretty successfully the last few times, so I'm probably gonna be on the Giants as plus 8. I don't know if I could play OBJ in cash though. He has to have this game. You know what I mean? It's not this week. He's still gonna have a really good. He's gonna still have a very solid week, and then it'll be like next week. But it's only a matter of time before I just play like OBJ in like 4 consecutive weeks because he just goes off. Figure out how to get the ball to him. Stop running these like fades to running backs in the end zone with the Giants. I don't understand what the hell's going on. Give him the ball.
You don't like the Bobby Rainey fade for the game? Not a fan of that one?
Yeah, no, that was so dumb. I mean, like, I don't like the Giants, and I don't really like. I'm very fond of them. And I was watching this game, like, oh my god, this is just gross. I can't even watch this. Ugh. Hopefully they figure it out because I do have someone I know on the team. Will Ty played against my rival. Played against football for a rival high school, so he was like a running back.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to Will Ty, but. So Rashad Jennings might be playing this game, so that takes all the dark wall people off of everything, and I'm not no running back attack. And I think I like Cobb more than Nelson just because he's right at that like 7.1, 6.9 thing. I'm looking at like 8 different players, and I'm juggling them, trying to figure out which one I'm going to do, and that throws Sterling Shepard right into the mix. But I think I like Cobb over Shepard personally. And I'm not on anyone really for defense and special teams. Mason Crosby at 4.5 actually kind of looks good. Never mind.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Also, just to throw it in there, the Packers are 3rd worst against receivers for fantasy this year, so that's something to think about as well.
Yeah, they can't stop anyone. This is why like maybe OBJ wins some tournaments, 170 yards,
get him
in 10 catches,
and then tell everyone to shut up when he goes for 30.
Yeah, or what would be even better, honestly, if he just didn't say like a damn thing and just whatever, I scored, whatever, and just like shut everyone up in the media, and because I'm tired of it too. Like, he's been acting like a baby. He absolutely has.
He has.
Sucks because it's just I hate to see it because I think he's maybe the greatest. He has the best hands we've ever seen, and maybe in the NFL. So hate to see that talent kind of go to lose him to like an attitude thing where I love my guys being emotional, don't get me wrong, but there's a point where you need to just look at yourself and be like, you look like a clown. And I hope he had that with the week. My other problem with the Giants was like, who in the locker room is going to tell him to man up? Eli? I don't know if I could take him seriously unless he flashes the rings, That's about it. Because McAdoo sure as hell ain't telling him shit. And that's really all I have on them, pretty more or less. So,
hey, one thing to mention, and I actually reached out to Fanduel just to clarify, but for any of you who are playing the Sunday Monday or the 405 late with Monday, there is a very good possibility that the Tampa Bay Carolina game is either moved or postponed because of the storm coming in. And just to clarify for everybody, it says that they have to play. If it's postponed and played after Wednesday the 12th, your players will receive 0 points. So that's something to think about. I believe the Tennessee-Miami game is also a possibility. for that same thing, which I meant to mention beforehand. So just keep an eye on that storm, because
Yep.
that would really suck if you paid up for somebody. I was looking at Mike Evans, but I don't think I can risk it now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. If there's any, I'll be watching Kevin Roth on Twitter pretty much. Getting my notifications sent to my phone anytime he tweets. So, because I may have like Jarvis in my lineup and I got to get him out. Um, any last words before I close this up, Jim, for the Packers Giants game?
No, that'll do it for that game.
All right, awesome. So that wraps up our recap and breakdown of FanDuel Week 5 here on Setting the Edge podcast. Joined by my man Jim Dean King of the King's Court Daily Fantasy Subscription Service. Give him a follow on Twitter. Check him out. He's dropping knowledge bombs all day, and he can definitely win you some money on FanDuel if you haven't been able to yet. So make sure you give him a check out on Twitter at Jim Dean King. And as always, I am Vaughn R16 on Twitter. You can follow me there. You can follow the show at Setting the Edge. At Setting the Edge _ and our website at settingtheedge.weebly.com, where I will be putting out my college football and NFL picks prior to game time. I will have my college picks out pretty soon, and NFL ones will be out probably Sunday morning. But that wraps us up here. Thanks for coming on, Jim. Love to have you on as always. And best of luck to everyone in their gambling and FanDuel endeavors. Cheers, man.
All right, thanks for having me, man. Have a good one.
You too.